What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another 263 Collective YouTube video. As usual, I'm your host, RM, and today we're going to have a video that is really good if you are just getting into using Glowforge, if you're looking into buying it. We're going to be talking about what proof grade materials are, why you should or shouldn't be using them, and what some viable alternatives are as well. Let's go ahead and jump on into it, guys. So before we get into talking about pros and cons of proof grade materials, we need to identify what proof grade materials actually are. The way that I like to describe it is that proof grade is like a complete suite of materials that Glowforge makes for Glowforge. So it's by them, for them. You can get anything from wood to acrylic. I've got a piece of medium clear acrylic that comes with the Glowforge right here. But it's kind of the simplest way to go about procuring materials to use in your Glowforge. They optimize the machine to run on proof grade materials, and while you can certainly print other stuff in there, it's the bulk of what I do. Like I said, the machine is optimized for proof grade. Now, if you're new to this whole realm, you may have noticed something weird when I held up that piece of acrylic, and that was that it had a QR code on it. So one of the first big advantages of proof grade materials is what we're going to jump straight into, and that is that Glowforge, like I said, has optimized the machine for their materials. What that means is that they actually have pre-programmed, they've got the settings built in. So when I put this sheet of acrylic into the laser, the camera inside of the lid reads that QR code and automatically sets the cutting speed and power, as well as the engraving speed and power, to get the best results on that material. Another advantage of proof grade materials is that they come masked from the manufacturer. You may be wondering what masking is. Well, simply put, it's what we do when we don't want to get a bunch of charring and craziness on our material as a result of the engraving process. It also protects things like acrylic, which aren't necessarily going to char, from scratches, scrapes, scuffs, other things that can occur inside of the laser. If you buy materials from other providers, you may very well find yourself masking to avoid the charring. Now, if it's wood, that's really easy to just sand down. But nonetheless, there are definitely advantages to masking. One other big advantage of using proof grade materials is that Glowforge has an entire library of projects that are pre-built files, which you can download, especially if you're a premium member, and build straight away. So it's not just simple flat stuff. You actually can have 3D objects that you can assemble through using proof grade cuts on Glowforge materials. Now that we talked about a few positives of proof grade materials, let's talk about a few negatives. Number one is price. Because you're receiving a piece of material that is pre-cut, pre-masked, and the settings are already programmed into a QR code that's slapped on the material, you are going to have to do literally no work to get it running. All you've got to do is drop a piece of material in the laser, let the machine do its work, and then hit start. Now, of course, that comes with a trade-off, and in this case, that trade-off is price. Another significant downside to proof grade materials is that you are limited to the thickness, color, and just other variants of material that you may want to use. If you're exclusively using proof grade materials, you're going to be constrained to what Glowforge offers in their proof grade section of their website. One of the other big downsides of proof grade materials is stock levels. It seems like in a lot of the instances when you want to buy proof grade materials, people have had issues with those materials not being in stock. If you constrain yourself completely to proof grade, then you are at the mercy of Glowforge. And while it may be great when they have the stuff in stock, if they don't have it, then you're SOL, and that's not a good place to be when you got a several $1,000 machine sitting idle and unable to work. What I want to do now is talk about viable alternatives to proof grade that are still just as simple to use. I've got a piece of aromatic cedar here, which is a really beautiful wood. This is offered as a proof grade material from Glowforge. This piece, however, is from a site called Smoky Hill Designs. They're a great supplier of all the different types of materials, be that wood, acrylic, and otherwise. And they offer a lot of the same stuff that Glowforge does through their proof grade line. The difference is that it does cost less, It doesn't have a QR code on it, and it's not pre-masked. You can also get greater thicknesses where you are kind of limited to 1/8 inch on a lot of proof grade materials. This is 1/4 inch, which is on the upper edge of what the Glowforge can cut. My wife uses this wood to make coasters with great results. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I don't want to have to figure out what settings are going to be. You really like the simplicity of proof grade because you don't have to worry about figuring out, doing test burns, any of that kind of stuff. Well, good news, Smoky Hill and a lot of manufacturers like them actually go ahead and list out which proof grade settings you can use to cut through the material with the exact same effect. If there's not an applicable proof grade setting, what they usually do is figure it out for you. Now, manufacturers like Smoky Hill do keep customers that are Glowforge users at the forefront of their minds. As a result of that, they often cut their materials to be the exact size of the Glowforge bed, which is 12 by 20. They also put out power settings that are going to be perfect for your laser if there's not an applicable proof grade setting. Now that we've talked through some of the advantages and disadvantages of using proof grade materials, let's go ahead and make a proof grade cut on this medium clear acrylic. So right now I'm getting my files set up. There are a couple schools of thought when it comes to engraving acrylic. One is that you engrave the front side and just let it be. The other is that you actually flip it over, reverse your art, and then engrave the back side. I'll show you the difference between these two, or what it looks like once this cut is done, but I'm going to go ahead and get the file set up the way that I want it, which in this case is going to be to engrave the back side with the file reversed, and then we'll go ahead and get the cut going. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and positioned my art here on the material. Down here you can see the medium clear acrylic with the QR code, and then subsequently the engraving settings that have pre-populated. Now what I want to do is use this premium tool that comes with Glowforge Premium to create an outline around this so that we actually can cut it out, not just engrave it. That's going to give us a red outline here, and it's also going to show a new box with our cut settings. I'm going to go ahead and move engrave in front of cut. I do that so that there's no shift in the material when the cut happens. If you were to do the cut first and the material were to shift at all, then it would result in the engraving being slightly mispositioned, and we don't want that. Now that we've got all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get this cut going. Lights flashing, so you guys know what that means. It's time to cut. Our cut's done, so let's go ahead and pull it out. So here's what our piece looks like. Now remember, the art is turned backwards on purpose. What I'm gonna do now is go ahead and pull this masking off and then show you guys what the finished product looks like. It is coming down outside now, so pardon the noise. I got the masking off. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at what this looks like from the front and back, so you can kind of see the difference between the two schools of thought with engraving acrylic that I was talking about earlier. Now here's what it looks like from the back. This is really cool. This is a pretty detailed design, so pulling the mask was a bit of work, but you can see it looks great. Now, if you look closely, you can see texturing, and obviously the surface of the material here is not going to be flat. Now, if we flip it, you see, one, that now the work is the right way, facing the right way forward, but two, this is just a smooth surface. Now, can you still feel the lines on the backside? Yeah, absolutely. But as far as presentation goes, this is far superior. This technique is also really good if you're engraving mirrored acrylic or other types of acrylic that are going to have a different front and back coloring. This being clear, it's kind of a toss-up based on which one you prefer, but I know which one I like. So that's going to go ahead and wrap this video up for you guys this week. I really hope that you found this video beneficial, taught you some stuff about why to use or not to use proof grade materials. If you found it informative, please like, comment, or consider subscribing. It would help us out a ton. Feel free to check us out on Instagram at the 263 Collective or at Collective Custom Work as well, and we'd be really happy to have you. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day. As always, you get what you earn.